She remembered once being offered sea urchin, or uni as the Japanese call it, at a tiny restaurant tucked behind the Tsukuji fish market in Tokyo, on a day so hot she thought her hair might fry. She didn't know it was served live, and feeling the poor urchin wriggle around in her mouth had made her want to gag, but when in Rome, right? She wondered why Andrew Considine thought cooking lessons warranted a surprise. Maybe he was one of those dudes who never graced the kitchen and just stirring up a teriyaki sauce would make him some kind of superstar in Chantal's eyes, although from what Ted could glean, he already was. Relief was radiating from Chantal, and it sort of illuminated her peachy skin beneath her halo of fluffy blonde hair. I can't believe I doubted him. Out of nowhere, Ted felt a twitch of irritation. Why couldn't Chantal see the irony? Weren't mediums supposed to be mind readers? But she squashed the thought. It was probably best to cut this short. "I'll have to wrap things up, I'm afraid," she said politely. "I'm due at another job." Of course. Ted gathered up the surveillance shots and slipped them back into her report. She got to her feet and proffered the folder. Chantal stood. She was much taller than Ted, but Ted was used to that because everyone was. People often told her she was pixie-sized, or they said she looked like Snow White, only shorter. They used adjectives like dainty and petite that made her sound like she had no agency, when she was actually a kick-ass PI. It drove Ted nuts. Her older sister, Bob, had once suggested she wear high heels for added gravitas, but high heels were dumb and they hurt Ted's feet. She wore black flats on the day she was in the office, along with white shirts under structured pantsuits like this navy one she'd bought from Zara online, because who could be bothered trying stuff on? She was comfier in her uniform out in the field, jeans and floppy hoodies that made her disappear, a distinct advantage in her profession, and she always wore runners in case she needed to chase a dangerous crook. As a civil investigator, she hadn't encountered any actual crooks yet, but you never knew. She handed Chantal the report. "Here's the overview of the job, the surveillance running sheet, and the itemised charges for the report, my cooking lessons and my travel expenses. My invoice is on the last page." As Chantal took the report, Ted felt a familiar tickle rising from her throat to her nose. She skirted her IKEA couch and closed the window on a yellow wattle that was hanging over the side fence. Behind the wattle, Ted could see straight into a room next door. Crystals of various sizes and colours were lined up along its shelf, and pictures of rainbows and angels adorned the walls. A feathered dream catcher hung in one corner, and two chairs covered in tie-dyed shawls faced each other intimately. From the window, Ted could just make out a framed New Age quote, sitting on a table next to a pack of tarot cards. "When an inner situation is not made conscious, it appears outside of you as fate." "Hay fever?" Chantal asked behind her. "Sorry. I'll cut that wattle back today." The New Age room was Chantal's office, for want of a better word, in the timber cottage where she and Andrew lived, next door to EBI. Edwina Bristol Investigations was based in an old converted milk bar in Abbotsford, a suburb sandwiched between the verdant Yarra River bicycle trail and the polluted horrors of Punt Road, one of Melbourne's most loathed thoroughfares. Much of Abbotsford was gentrified, but cafe culture had somehow escaped this semi-industrial street, where the few houses were lost in a clamour of mechanics' garages and tile warehouses, and the rear entrance to Wags Away Canine Daycare. Ted figured that's why she could afford the rent, although by the skin of her teeth. When she'd first moved in, she'd been intrigued to see a parade of women pass through Chantal's front room, their faces hungry with need as they clung to her every word. She'd assumed Chantal was some kind of New Age counsellor, but then one day she'd found a business card fluttering in the gutter. "Chantal Considine, spiritual medium. Need guidance from your loved ones who've passed over? I can make contact with them on the other side and seek their wisdom for you." Wait, what? Ted had thought. So that was how Chantal made her living? By fleecing the bereaved? A medium? As if. What if the alleged loved ones who'd passed over gave Chantal's vulnerable clients the wrong advice? Who was Chantal to play God? Not that Ted believed in God, but she didn't believe in mediums either. She wondered how Chantal...